Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. I want to look at the astrology of November and the Kabbalah of November. I may only get as far as the first week in November for the astrology because I don't want to keep you too long. So if you want to know what's happening after that, I post every week for the week ahead generally. Sometimes I can go a little bit further, but there's been so much going on of late, so many both interesting and intense astrological patterns, and such a powerful time on planet Earth that I've taken it kind of week by week. So let's get started. Just give me a moment and I'll open up the PowerPoint. Okay, so we're going to look at the astrology and Kabbalah of November. We're going to look at the numerology and the Kabbalah first. And then we're going to be doing the astrology for the first, I think, week of November, which is, I think, like 9 days. The first 9 days. Okay. So November 2024, numerology and the tree of life. So we have the tree of life here right in the middle. Each one of these circles or Sephiroth there's a planetary association with that. And so what I've done is I've taken, like in the case of Bina here, the black circle, it's the Sephiroth of Saturn. So I put Pisces there because Saturn is in Pisces. And that's how you can read. And then, of course, in November, excuse me, we start with the sun in Scorpio and end in Sag. So I put them both there. So that's how you kind of read that. We're in an 8 vibrational year, right? 2024, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 is 8, is located on this path on the tree of life, this path. It is connected in the tarot or the tarot to the strength card and the sign of Leo, astrologically. It is completely energetically located, if we overlay the chakra system, on the tree of life in the throat chakra, which the element associated with that chakra is sound. And so I became mute for a minute there, but okay, sound. And perhaps that's the point. If you're going to say something, make sure you know what you're going to say, and there's a reason behind what you say, and to the best of your ability, you say it with love. You say it with love. Or at least, if not love, if the most you can do is just non-reactive, like sort of right in the middle there, right at that point, you just say it. I think the 8 is a manifesting vibration. We're in a manifesting year, and we've certainly seen any number of manifestations. The Hebrew letter associated with the path, the 19th path on the tree of life, the intelligence of all activities, spiritual beings. This speaks of the Kundalini that sits in the root and makes it, as we ascend, as we become more and more aware, it rises up the column, and we become enlightened. That's sort of the energy, right? And so the 8 is a path in a way to enlightenment, but it's also a path of responsibility. And you have to be, if you want to be actually, enlightenment really is an understanding of the responsibility that you have, not just as an individual, but within the collective, right? Within your place in the world, as it were. 8 is a manifestation number, and a lot of people with 8s are very successful. It says when 8 is awakened and developed, it becomes the mastermind working for the cause of humanity and finds its perfect reward in the great accomplishment. Now, we've been in this vibration all year, and we still have another month of this vibration. December, we will still be in an 8-year. But in December, that 8-year will add with the 12 vibration of the month, and we will be at a judgment time, the judgment card in the tarot. This month, we are, so let's see. Leo, yep, and the throat chakra, element of sound, and Taith. Okay. This month, of course, we're in 11 month, right? And the 11 on the Tree of Life sits here. This is justice. This is cosmic justice, Lady Justice, with her scales, which are incidentally the symbol of Tiphereth, this yellow circle, the sun, and the sword, which is the symbol of Gabura, the red Sephiroth. And the path that is between those two is the path of justice, cosmic justice, 11. 11 is a spiritual number. It's a spiritual master teacher. It is the light worker. Okay. It is the one that illuminates. And so we have spiritual teacher, visionary, peacemaker, whose desire is to illuminate the world with his vision of harmony and cooperation. You know who reminds me of this vibration is Volodymyr Zelensky. And while he is an Aquarius, which, brings its own flavor of humanitarianism to the party, he has a Pluto North Node conjunction in Libra. And so his soul is moving in the direction of justice. So the balancing of the scales. So it's very interesting that balancing of the scales kind of energy, but also a balancing of the scales is sometimes to see how, like, what's far enough, and now we stop and we make peace, right? Because Libra is also a symbol. Libra is the sign associated with this vibration, is also a symbol of peace. A spiritual whose desire to illuminate the world with a vision of harmony and cooperation. 11 wants to balance the feminine and the masculine energies, and in doing so, achieve balance. That is from a book by Ruth Dreher, Numerology, The Power in Numbers, a right and left brain approach. 22, the 22nd path, called the faithful intelligence. Why is it called that? The faith that all in life tends towards balance and wholeness. The Hebrew letter is Lamed, which means ox goad, that which pushes the breath further, goads. Ox is Aleph, it is the breath of the divine. And when you add these two vibrations together, we get a 19-1. 19-1 is a karmic debt number. When you're in a 19-1 vibration, sometimes you're in a 19-1 vibration for a day. Sometimes you're in a 19-1 vibration for a month, a year, a 9-year cycle, a 27-year cycle. It depends on where the 19 falls. And for some, it is this is their debt. They're paying their debt in this lifetime, right? With the 19-1 vibration. But we have this vibration right now in November. And the United States of America, if we look at the July 4th, 1776 birthday, the Declaration of Independence, was it 1775, 1776? Yeah, 1776. We're in a 19-1, America. So America is in a karmic debt number year, personal number year. And it really is about moving in a new direction. And I would say that here anyway, moving in a new direction probably points in the direction of, at least in this country, politically, is Kamala Harris winning, a woman taking power, and the end to an era of, quite frankly, bullying. So, so I do think that that will be the choice that America makes, and it is a karmic choice, and it is a way of, in a way, recompense. So, that's a possibility. Of course, this is not a political video, so I just thought I'd mention it though, because of the connection to the fact that we are in a karmic debt number year as a country, along with the fact that we're still in our Chiron return. And our Chiron return, we have a Chiron in Aries in the fourth house. And so it's about the wound around selfhood, you know, being Black. A person who's Black can't be anything but Black, and making that be something that makes them less than, or a target for cruelty, is just not right, right? So we are hopefully evolving as a country. That's what I want to say to that. Um, so a karmic debt number, the central lesson for this number is that you stubbornly resist help. I think I'm guilty of this myself. Much of your independence is self-imposed. You simply don't want to listen to others or accept help or advice. We learn that no one is an island and that we need each other. So I think that knowing that we need each other means we're moving in a better direction. Okay. Now that's the United States. We're in that 19-1 vibration, karmic year number. But for everybody, all of us, in this new vibration, the paths that are getting activated in your tree as well. The 19-1 sits here on this path between Hone, which is the Sephiroth of Mercury, the place of the mind, of reason, and Yesod, the foundation, the place of the moon, um, the place of our feelings, right? And so we have a connection between feelings and the mind. The 19-1 is often when we go in a new direction. Where we start in a 19-1 cycle, we end up in a completely different place. It's like 180 degree. And so, I think I see us going in a much better direction. The 30th path on the tree of life is completely within the lower self triad of the personality. Right here, this is the triad of the personality. The collecting intelligence, that's what the intelligence is called. The 30th path is the collecting intelligence. The sun, a time of illumination, of the path of emotional intelligence. You are born through attaining a singleness of mind, the Hebrew letter resh, meaning face or continence. All right, so let's take a look at the astrology. I'll try to go a little bit faster for the astrology. We start with the new moon. Actually, I'm doing this on the first. I'm a little late this month. I apologize. But I'm in this energy right now. It's the 1st of November, and I'm doing this. And we're in a 20/2 day. That is the judgment card. On the day that we have a new moon in Scorpio. At 10 degrees of Scorpio, the Sabian symbol camaraderie. Wow, this makes me happy. Group activity generates a deep sense of belonging, a willingness to help others and join with their ups and downs, enjoyment of friendliness. So the co-rulers of Scorpio happen to be happen to be Mars and Pluto. That's one thing. And they happen to be in exact opposition to each other on this new moon. We're going to look at the chart. It's very interesting. Making a giant kite in the sky, a kite configuration, and kites have a way of getting things done. People who have kites get things done. They're like they have the drive and the stick to itness and the ability to adapt that they need to just continue, right? Um, so it's a powerful chart. We'll look at it on Saturday the 2nd. We have Mercury trine Mars. I call this walk your talk. So with this, the way things are going that we see in the outer world, I would say Saturday, people will back up what they say. So you have to be very careful, I think, on Saturday. Now, generally, Mars and Mercury trine is just like, oh, everybody's getting along, everything's good, everything's flowing. But in this case, good stuff is flowing, and there could be some not so good stuff flowing. So be aware of that. Be careful. We have Mercury making a waning sextile to Pluto that day. This is the deep penetrating mind. This is wisdom, really. Wisdom from the soul. Wisdom from the soul. We also then have Mercury. After it makes this sextile to Pluto, last time it will, with Pluto and Capricorn, for a couple of centuries. We have Mercury ingress in Sag. Okay, Mercury ingresses in Sag. Then on November, I can't see. Okay, November 3rd. Yes, November 3rd, Sunday. Big day, big day. Mars opposes Pluto. The opposition that we had at the new moon, which was just 2 days before, becomes exact. So this new moon really acts like a new moon that's like going on for days, right? From the 1st to the 2nd to the 3rd, and then we have the 4th and the 5th, of course, is election day. So there's a lot of power in this. This is the blue wave, I think, that we will see with this. But it's still going to be in a very emotional time, a very emotional time. People are very, very emotional. But the thing about Scorpio and this new moon in Scorpio is that Scorpio is always willing to confront what it needs to confront. It has a lot of courage, and we will have a lot of courage to face what we need to face, um, and make it to the other side of this. And that final push, the baby comes out. It can be the most painful one, but it'll come out, and it will be marvelous. It will be marvelous. Um, so we have the opposition. Now, this is actually, I'm making a big deal about this. And it's especially a big deal because this is the last opposition between Saturn and Pluto, with Mars and Pluto, with Mars in Cancer and Pluto in Capricorn. But there are two more after this because Mars goes retrograde. It goes into Leo in December and then goes retrograde on the 6th, I think. Retrogrades all the way back into Cancer. And I think it goes to about 17 degrees of Cancer. And then it comes back. And, so this Mars cycle is going to be very tumultuous because we're dealing with the ego and we're dealing with the feelings of insecurity and security. So that's another conversation for another day, but that is something that's happening. But of course, this is also probably part of the wave. Okay, so we also have on that day Venus making an opposition to Jupiter. Hold on 1 minute here. Sorry about that. My husband brought me a little cup of tea. So we also have on that day Venus opposing Jupiter at 21 degrees of Sag Gemini. This is a pretty nice aspect, actually, generally. The interesting thing about this one is that it goes across Trump's um, nodes. He has his moon at 21 of Sag, and he has his sun at about 21 degrees of Gemini. So this activates his full moon of his chart. So it's a highlighted time for him as well. And then Mars ingresses into Leo. Both candidates have Mars in Leo in a close enough conjunction, to matter. On Monday, the 4th, we have the Sun make a trine to Saturn. This is a really nice energy. Actually, it's a stabilizing energy, a stabilizing force energy. And of course, that will be the day before the election. That's a Monday. And then on Thursday, the 7th, there is no, exact aspect on election day that is, it's all moon stuff. And then on Thursday, the 7th, Venus makes an inconjunct to Uranus. So something unexpected, perhaps. Friday, the 8th, we have the second hit of the United States Chiron. Chiron at 21 degrees of Aries, Sabian symbol of pugilist enters the ring. So that is going to, and that day is a Ace of Wands day. And then on the 9th, we have our first quarter moon. This is the first quarter moon of the new moon that started on the 1st. And we also have Venus making a last quarter square to Neptune. That is considered a crisis in consciousness or a crisis in belief square. So some of the true believers perhaps will have a crisis, or people who thought they were absolutely positively sure of something. We'll find out that that's not the case, and then there's a crisis. It's a spiritual crisis, really. All right, so here we have the new moon in Scorpio. It happens to fall in the United States chart for Washington, D.C. in the 12th house. That is the house of hidden enemies. So we do have to be aware in the U.S. that there could be something brewing in the back rooms, as it were. The rulers of Scorpio, Pluto, and Mars here, you see them in a very tight opposition. Mars isn't quite exactly opposite Pluto, which means that there are still some adjustments being made to Mars before the soul actually expresses itself in a conscious way on the 3rd. And as I said, this is all connected to a kite formation. Kites are made up of grand trines here, and then opposition, which creates sextiles to one of the points. And the sextile to Neptune, Pluto sextiles Mercury and Neptune are in a trine to each other. That's part of the grand trine. We have Mercury making a trine to Mars, right? We had the exact trine on the 2nd, I think it was. Now it's just a little bit further, but it's still within orb. And then, of course, we have Neptune trining Mars here. So, and then if we look at this Mercury, and you go right across, we have Uranus. So all of the transpersonal planets are interacting in this relationship between Mars and Mercury. Mars and Mercury, the energy of walking, taking action on your talk, on what you're saying. So this is something we need to be very aware of. The co-rulers are in opposition to each other. We're also in a judgment. We're at a point of judgment. A decision needs to be made. The co-rulers in opposition to each other in the last degrees of the sign of Cancer. Mars and Pluto in its last opposition to Mars Pluto's last opposition to Mars while in Capricorn. This is the same degree of the July 21st full moon, which was that day was the burden bearer, the Ten of Wands energy. And that's the laying down of the burden, and who laid down the burden and who took on the burden. Joe Biden let down the burden, and Kamala took it up. Joe Biden, Scorpio, steps down from the Democratic nomination and puts his support behind Kamala Harris, who happens to be a Libra, who happens to have this opposition in a grand square, or creating a grand square with her sun moon. So that's a lot. She's being this is like the diamond, the pressure that creates the diamond. And so now this acts as part of the kite formation with Neptune, Mercury, and Scorpio, while being opposed by Uranus. Focusing the mind is a powerful tool. We must focus on what we want to see. Here's the trine, the exact trine that's happening on the 2nd, walking your talk. Mercury at 30 of Scorpio, trine Mars at 30 of Cancer. Cancer, Scorpio. And we still have this, in fact, we might even have two. Let's see, do we have two here? Not quite. Heights. But this is a powerful time. And of course, it is connected. Remember, you can't take this just in these two planets, because you have to take Neptune in consideration. And this is true believers. This is the end of the signs here, right? 29, 29, 28. It almost feels like a baptism of sorts, maybe, or the water, being in the water, kind of like a baptism, I guess. So 30 degrees for Scorpio, a Halloween gesture, letting off steam. Civilization can tame our instincts only to a certain extent, and society therefore has to allow moments of controlled madness. Allowing a measure of wildness reveals our darker secrets. In a trine to Mars and Cancer, 30 degrees, daughter of the American Revolution, tradition. Conservative elements in society have the function of holding on to what is excellent and special from the past. Respect for tradition. Respect for tradition. This day is also a World's Day, World card, and the world is about giving birth to something. So the end of the gestation and the birth of the project, beginning and endings. Endings first and new beginnings. Also on the 2nd, we have Mercury sextiling Pluto. Here's Pluto. Here's Mercury, end of the Pluto's saying, giving a fond farewell to everybody. Ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta. I'm going out of Capricorn. Now we get to put on our crazy duds because we'll be going into Aquarius. This is part of the Mercury-Pluto synod that began, I think in this February, and I believe it was at 1 degree of Aquarius. Yeah, here it is, 1 degree of Aquarius, February 5th. Now, that's the relationship between two planets is a 360-degree relationship, right? It's a circle. And we've gone 300 degrees of that circle. There's only 60 degrees left. And this is the 60 where we find meaning in our experience. And we get to share what we know, right? We get to share our knowledge and our information for whatever situation, right? For humanity, perhaps. Sharing with the world the voice of the soul. And what soul is it? It's the world soul. It's the world soul that has moved through Capricorn since 2008. So we have the same symbol letting off steam for Mercury, and Pluto, a secret business meeting. We've talked about this symbol many times because a lot of things have been happening at that last degree of Capricorn. The idea of a secret hierarchy of dark forces and light, but it's all ascending. And so the light is a bit lighter and the dark is less dark. And we heal. And then on the 3rd, the opposition. This is the opposition for Washington, D.C. There's a Washington, D.C. chart. And we see Pluto in the 3rd and Mars in the 9th. This is the house of foreign places. It is a square Chiron, but it's wide. It's wide. 10 degrees. It's not really considered a square, but Chiron is still, evident. We have this opposition, which we're going to talk about next, right? Venus and Jupiter. So it's interesting because we have two what would be considered malefic planets in opposition and two benefic planets in opposition. And, a lot of people might think the malefic planets have more power because traditionally might makes right. But perhaps things have changed enough for that to be the opposite. Scorpio rising chart for the US. This sun is on, I think, Biden's Mercury, I believe. His Mercury is at that degree. His Mercury or his Mars, right around that degree. This is also, the sun is also on Putin's Venus, I believe. His Venus is at 11. Yeah. This is the halfway point of the Pluto Mars synod, which began on Valentine's Day, 2024. That day was vibrating to the Queen of Wands, one of the symbols that Kamala usually comes up as. That and Nancy Pelosi usually when I read cards. This conjunction occurred at 1 degree of Aquarius. The Mars-Pluto conjunction, the Venus-Pluto conjunction, the Mercury-Pluto conjunction that occurred at the beginning of the year all happens at that 1st degree of Aquarius. But the Sun-Pluto conjunction happens at 30 degrees of Capricorn. That was the only one of the inner planets that didn't have its conjunction to Pluto while Pluto was in Aquarius. It was still in Capricorn at the last second. It was in Capricorn, no less. Nothing like waiting until the last minute, guys. So we have the secret business meeting again, opposing tradition. This is the first of 3 exact oppositions, as I said just a little while ago. The second one is on January 1st. And the vibration of that day is 13-4, the death card, change. It is at 2 degrees of Leo Aquarius. Leo Aquarius. That is actually square Kamala Harris's Mercury. It does not hit any planet in Trump's chart that directly, which I think is good for Kamala. So just so you know. On the 3rd, and then the 3rd one occurs on April 26th, and that occurs at 4 degrees of Leo Aquarius. The reason for 3 is because, as I said, or maybe I didn't say, but I'll say now, Mars goes retrograde in December. And so we're going to have 3 oppositions. Oppositions bring awareness. So we're going to have 3 separate awarenesses. And I think that's good. I think we need 3 separate awarenesses. I think things are so intense that we're not going to get it. We're too shell-shocked to just get it the first time. We need a repetition, and the universe will repeat for us. And, you know, the less resistance we have to what we see, I think the faster we get to move forward. So here's the opposition between Venus and Jupiter. This is the halfway point of that synodic cycle. That one began on the 23rd of May at 30 degrees of Taurus. Here's that last degree again, right? A peacock parading on a lawn. Gifts inherited and improved upon are shown to be part of the flowering of cultural aspirations and its pride and joy. I'm wearing peacock feather earrings. They're not real peacock's feathers, but like metal in the shape of a peacock feather. In honor of Kamala, she's a Libra, and the Egyptian goddess for justice, Mut, is often seen with a peacock. And peacocks were also sacred to Juno, and she has a very powerful Juno. In fact, her and Biden had a great Juno combination. I think it was conjunct. So they worked really well together. But she works really well with other people. All right. So now Venus, so that was the conjunction. Now we have the opposition, which is that was the seed that was planted, peacock parading, in May, and now we see the sort of the fruition of that. Venus at 21 of Sag, a child and a dog with borrowed eyeglasses, walking in the shoes of a master. By copying the behavior and ideas of an awakened being, we are likelier to awaken ourselves. In opposition to Jupiter at 21 of Gemini, a tumultuous labor demonstration. It is healthier to release pent-up emotions rather than to continue repressing them, allowing outbursts of pent-up feelings. Outbursts. So this is a balance between outburst and awakening ourselves to a higher possibilities, perhaps. This is a chart for the U.S. And we do have the ascendant of this particular chart. This is Washington, D.C., is on the galactic center. So that always says to me that we have connections to the galactic beings, as it were. We can see that this is still like opposite each other, right? And this opposition happens in the houses of healing, spiritual healing and physical healing. So this could also be an opportunity for a healing, a peace, right? November 3rd, the Sunday before Election Day. And then lastly, Mars ingressing into Leo. First degree of Leo, a case of apoplexy. An extreme level of emotional vitality requires an extraordinary degree of self-management to avoid the danger. Moderating our feelings of self-importance. Well, we know who's not going to probably do well with that, but let's not judge until it happens. The sun, as the ruler of Scorpio, would influence this, right? We have Mars ingressing into the sign of Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. What is the sun doing? Well, it's in Scorpio, of course, right? We're in Scorpio season. An inventor experimenting, seeing how everything connects. The counterintuitive discovery that all things are interconnected is made available only to those who seek knowledge. Seeing that everything is connected. We are all connected, guys. And because of that, we can change things like this. We just have to put our attention there. And the more people that put their attention, the direction they want to see the world go, the faster it'll get there. This is the Fool card this day. Both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have their Mars in Leo. This is the sun trining Neptune. Remember I said that's a good thing. It's a good thing. It brings stability, but this can also be a flow and a rush of energy or flooding. We have to be very careful. I still think there's some flooding in our future. The sun trine Saturn transit brings responsibility, patience, persistence, and determination. This is part of the Sun Saturn sign-on that began on the 28th of February at 10 of Pisces. A pilot flying through ground obscuring clouds. That symbol indicates somebody who has to use the perceptions that are beyond the five senses, your extrasensory perceptions, in order to be able to see where you're going, even though we're in the cloud, we're in the dark cloud, right? The dark cloud time. If any of you are followers, and I know many of you are, of Cash Peters, lovely man, love Cash. He's amazing. Thank you, Cash, for all the work that you do. But he often sees like this cloud. There's like always like clouds around around this time. And so we need to be able to see through that, to see through the falsehoods and the illusions and the delusions and all this weirdness, and just see the landing pad. We have to land this baby, right? The sun is at 13 degrees of Scorpio, seeing how everything is connected. We know this. That's why we're all looking. That's why you're listening to me, because you know that there are connections, and you're seeing if I can figure out what some of them might be, or if they're the same ones that you found, right? I mean, that's why we're together, right? In a trine to 13 of Pisces. A sword in a museum, a single pointed certainty of purpose. Rather like a wand, the sword directs our attention towards the one and only one thing, and thus concentrates the will, developing a sharpness of intent. What do you want to see? What do you want to create? What kind of world do you want to create? Certainly one that you're going to be happy in. So how do you do that? You be happy. You figure out how the hell you can be happy, how the hell you can open up to joy. Look what opening up to joy did for Kamala and the Democrats. Can love, joy, and happiness, and can that get us? Can that really overcome? I'm willing to go in that direction. Because the other one doesn't look very attractive to me. All right, so now we have Venus making a last quarter square. This is on the 9th. Actually, you know what? Let me see something, because on the 8th, did I not put this in here? Okay, let's do this one first. The 8th. I knew like something that's not right. We have the Chiron return. Second of two. US Chiron is at 21 of Aries. A pugilist enters the ring. Aries ruling planet is Mars. Mars is at 2 degrees of Leo on this day. An epidemic of the mumps. The spreading power of individual crisis through a collectivity. This is after the election, guys. A broad meaning of an epidemic is that one individual, if infected by a certain type of disease, can spread the disease to vast numbers of persons in their environment, and in some cases, all over the globe. The sun is at 17 of Scorpio, a woman fecundated by her own spirit, great with child, the total reliance upon the dictates of the God within, a transpersonal way of existence. It is a 27-9 Ace of Wands day. And we look to Neptune and Pluto. And we know that Neptune and Pluto are in a sextile to each other that opens the lines of communication between spirit and soul. We still have one more Chiron return. This is the United States' 5th Chiron return. It happens every 52 years, about 52 years. It is an opportunity to heal the wound. And Chiron in Aries for the United States can be the wound of bullying, as we bully our way across the world stage, or being bullied as we're being bullied by the Republican Party. Perhaps putting ourselves in other people's moccasins and realizing that that is absolutely not the way we want to go anymore. And that would be soul growth for the United States. After all, we had a Pluto return. We're still in it. It takes years to understand what just happened. On the 9th, Venus squares Neptune. This aspect can lead to intense sensitivities, making it difficult to integrate your feelings fully. Remember, this is a 19-1 vibration month year. And so we agreed to this, just so you know. Oops. We're almost done. Oh, what happened? Okay, I went backwards. Sorry, guys. I'm like, wait a minute, where am I? Eshkabibbles. The sensitivity can blur your perceptions, leading to misjudgments and self-deception. So people are going to be confused. This is part of a synodic cycle that began at the Venus-Neptune conjunction on the 3rd of April at 28 of Pisces. Enough is a feast, a fertile garden under a full moon. Now Neptune is back at 28 of Pisces, so we can still keep that full moon vision in our head and look to see Venus trining from 28 of Sag, squaring from 28 of Sag, making useful things beautiful. We can consecrate our lives more by remembering to marry spiritual qualities with mundane needs. Marrying up the mundane and the spiritual beautifully. We are creative beings seeking to beautify ourselves and our lives in meaningful ways. Beauty is Venus. This is the divine feminine, guys. This is the divine feminine. And this is next week, and we'll do that next week. All right, guys. I hope you do well. It's going to be an intense week, even if we weren't in the most important election of our lifetime and everything is hinging on it, the fate of the world. Is that all? So we are in intense times. Know that the right choices will be made. The light will come back again. There are things that we need to still heal. All the problems don't go away. We know better, right? We are the people we've been waiting for, and we've agreed to be here. So why not roll up our sleeves and do our best? And from my best and my heart to you, thank you for your time and your attention all these years. I love you guys, and I'll see you again next week to do the week ahead. And of course, here and there, between Mystic Sisters and Susan Lynn, I'll be on Susan Lynn's. And if I have the energy on election night, I'll be on Jen Lynn's channel. So we'll see how much energy I can muster. It's going to be intense times. All right, guys, I love you. Take care. Namaste.